All right, we'll now open it up to public comment. Public comment, I have comment cards here. First one is Kim Hill.
Kim Hill, City of Homestead, Southwest District. How you doing, Miss Bailey? Nice to see you today. All right, first of all, I love that little story, and I do mean it was a story that Mr. Rowe was telling you guys about this overtime and everything else or whatever. First of all, if all these things were that important, then it should have been brought up at the budget meeting. And if you had dispatchers not working, just dispatch, only 2 dispatchers during the beginning of the budget hearing. Responsible leadership should have been in there at that particular time. But I'm not going to waste my time on this because the main issue he was talking about was safety. Right now, I'm still talking about safety. Safety of African Americans and Latino males that have been shot down, and the community still have questions. So I'm still here after 2 years talking about a body camera. Now, this is what old men have always told me. Only thing you have to do, if you see a person drinking from a dirty glass of water, set down a clean glass, and the intelligent person will reach for it. Well, we talked about the issue of safety. Let me go back to a situation. Let me talk to you, Ms. Fairclough. Let me talk to you, Ms. Bailey. What about the possibilities of a police officer pulling you over, asking you to see your bra, to be able to do all kind of sexually lewd kind of things to you and want to, make all these suggestions? How would you feel about that? You would feel extremely bad, right? Well, that happened in the city of Homestead. You know who I'm talking about, Mr. Rowe, right? You remember this officer that you all fired, Juan Cerebre, on allegations of this happening to a woman in the city of Homestead. But if we would have had, Mr. City Manager, those body cameras, we wouldn't have to, it wouldn't even be a question behind any of that. These were allegations. So if you don't believe me, Google it. Homestead police officer arrested. Homestead police officer arrested or some kind of complaint about this Homestead police officer. Am I correct, Mr. Rowe? You can rectify me now if I'm wrong. But what I'm still talking about, right now we have the technology to be able to eliminate that. Mr. City Manager, I'm quite sure probably lawsuits or something came behind that, or we lost money behind that. But I'm not, quote me, go in, just Google it up, Homestead police arrest. And there's a whole list of arrests that these body cameras would have brought clarity. Now, we can always talk about what we need, and we can play on the emotions of people. Oh, the police. Yes, we love the police, and we want them to be safe, but we want our community to be safe too. Hey, Mr. Raw, how you doing? You still parading around on Blakely Park, exploiting young African Americans?
Thank you, Mr. Hill. Thank you, Mr. Hill. Mr. Sullivan? Mr. Sullivan? Good afternoon, sir.
Kevin Sullivan, 1860 Southeast 6th Court. I'm here, I'm going to talk about shocking figures I heard last month. Now, I have no knowledge if these are actual true figures, but it came up that the city has spent in excess of $150,000 on legal fees against Freedom of Information suits. Now, the person bringing the suit against the city is not even a lawyer. We get advice from our city attorneys, and the advice turns out not to be good, so we end up in court, and they bill us to the tune, and it's probably in excess of $150,000, but what the hell is going on? If that was my attorney, and he was that bad with the advice, I'd fire him. So it's back to the question I brought up many years ago, and I repeat it about every 2 years because the council changes. Let's get our own in-house attorneys and cut down on the expense. If we don't like what the in-house attorney's doing, put him on notice. He doesn't need the job here anymore.
Thank you, Mr. Sullivan. I know there's some cards missing. I know, Mr. McDonough, you want to say something, so if you want to come forward, and whoever else filled out a card, I guess we've misplaced a couple, so.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Dr. James Eric McDonough. I live at 32320 Southwest 199th Avenue. First, I'd like to advise the council that your attorneys are not being honest with you. They've come to me 3 times now behind your back attempting settlement. Your attorneys are throwing the city under the bus to save their own hides, yet you should know Manager Gretzis has waived all the conflicts. A wise man once asked me, how do you eat an elephant? The answer was 1 bite at a time. And that's exactly what I intend to do here, hopefully starting with some depositions soon. Deceive yourselves not into thinking you have plausible deniability or that I was unprepared for the wickedness others would inflict upon me, my family, and others. Second, Mayor Porter, you have violated my rights. You have slandered me in these meetings, then you encouraged your goons to commit violent felonies against me. Sir, for the record, Homestead has retaliated against me with 12 false criminal charges, 4 false stalking injunctions, and a few dozen First Amendment rights violations. All because I spoke out against abuse. This is all documented. Nobody can deny this has happened. Further, I repeatedly came in good faith seeking amicable resolution years before I filed a single suit or claim, only to be denied and further retaliated against. Sir, you stated on the record that I'm a bad guy, poisonous, horrible, a bad animal, and a bully who must be punched in the nose. Sir, is this a proper way for leaders to speak about citizens? Sir, do you even know what a bully is? Sir, you have exceeded your lawful authority retaliating against me, and you did it using tax dollars. You're supported by a criminal chief of police and goon squad who willingly does your bidding, and you have a law firm being paid millions annually to defend even the most egregious of abuses. Yet you can feel compelled to speak of physical violence towards me. Sir, what have I ever done to deserve such claims? What laws did I break? Whose ring did I not kiss? Sir, have I now become your enemy because I tell you the truth? Lastly, sir, I sincerely ask, though I know you generally lack courage to respond to me, if your comments pertaining to committing physical violence against me was only hyperbole, will you be a man of character and allay my fears by openly stating that you wish no physical harm to me or my family? You're refusing to state that you don't want to hurt me? I mean, you said on the record that I need to be punched in the nose. Nothing you can say. I thought you were a coward. I knew it. Thank you. Have a good night.
It was your time. Thank you. Shia Noriega? None? Mr. Womble?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council, citizens, fellow employees of City of Homestead. At some point, we have to understand that some things are going wrong in our city. At some point, we have to sit down and we have to start resolving problems that are existing in our city. It seems as though things just carry on for a long, extended period of time. And there's a great degree of frustration in our city because of the lack of services that are being provided on a timely basis, in my opinion, for those citizens. We've been waiting for quite some time for busy thoroughfares to be expanded, and we're getting those things, but we're at the point already to where the pot is boiling over. We have citizens driving unlike they've ever driven before in the city of Homestead recklessly. We have people turning from the straight line, they're turning in from the turning lane right in front of individuals because that line is so long, they just use the turn lane in order to get ahead of everybody else. That, in my opinion, has never happened before in Homestead before the past couple of years. So we need to look into those things and make sure that our traffic safety is first and foremost. It bothered me, Mr. Mayor, that we have city employees that are not taking breaks? Why is it that at this meeting, in which we're just about halfway through the fiscal year, that we're just bringing that up? That is something that I'm sure has been known for quite some time, and it should have been rectified. Being someone who stands up and looks and advocates for the well-being of the worker, I find that rather appalling that we're now just hearing about that. Someone should have been bringing that before you long time ago, and it should have been rectified long time ago. On the issue of body cameras, we've been talking about this issue for quite some time, and yet we still have resources being expended to defend officers. In some cases, officers have been fired. We shouldn't have to advocate for this. Every piece of equipment that is utilized or could be utilized for the defense of an officer, for the defense of the citizens of Homestead, should be utilized for that purpose. We're still asking for body cameras because we see that we are spending money to defend people who have violated the rights of citizens.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
I have no more cards. Close the public hearing, the public comments at this section.